Hey, I wanted just to talk a little bit about the ULM game since we didn't get a chance to cover that quite as much, and then we'll open up any questions about moving forward against Southern Miss in the bowl game. But going back when you get a chance to reevaluate the game and you see a defense that causes 5 turnovers, takes 2 of them back for scores, obviously a pretty solid night by your defense. And we've been getting some balls out all year, and finally got some out and got on them and made the most of them, and won the turnover battle pretty decisively, and that helped us end the season, I think, a +2, maybe +3 in the turnover ratio. And then offensively to go the entire game without losing a fumble just says a lot about the way our kids have practiced, the way they prepare, and the way they're coached. And like I mentioned, Coach Loving's, for the running backs to go the entire season without losing a ball, I don't know if I've ever seen that before, ever, in coaching a team. And I see him every day emphasizing that, the way they work that, and the rest of the skill guys too. But just when the running backs carry the ball as much as they do, that's strong. But defensively, we had some great efforts. Carmichael Dunbar played one of his best games. He was our defensive player of the game. Thought he was exceptionally active in making some big plays. Our DBs did a nice job coming up from the back end and tackling. Savion Brown was also a co-defensive player of the game. I think he had quite a few tackles, pass breakup, had a pick 6 in his hands. That could have been the 6th turnover. Didn't quite finish that one. But then you go back and look at the Otha Peters had the pick 6. Trev Miller had the fumble return for a touchdown. So a lot of guys very active defensively, and once again just played a lot of guys. So real proud of their effort. Offensively, Elijah McGuire goes over 1,000 yards for the 3rd time in his career. What a feat by that guy. Very proud of him. He'd be the first to give the credit to that offensive line and to the tight ends and everybody involved that helped him accomplish that. And then, if you go back and look, I thought Darius Hawkins, and I thought he ran the ball very well, especially on the edge, made some nice runs. So I thought all our running backs played well. Jordan Wright played well, ran the ball hard, and they all took care of the football. So that was a big plus. Passing game-wise, it was almost impossible to throw the ball. We tried to stay on script a little bit early and got off the script pretty fast. That was about the biggest rain game that I've ever been a part of, and never let up the entire game. So it was quite a challenge, to say the least. But just proud of the kids, proud of the way Stevie Artigue, Stephen Coots, and Steve Morella handled all the field goal situations, 3 for 3 on field goals, which turned out to be critical. Perfect on his extra points. And then we handled the red field goal right before half without a timeout. They was able to run out on the field, get it off right just like you're supposed to. And I was proud of that because that was another 3 points and the momentum going into halftime. So I thought that was well executed, and I was proud of them there. But big win on the road against another team that was playing for something too. And so proud of the team and proud of the way they have responded these last 5 weeks as we've won our last 4 out of 6 games and 3 straight conference games. And so great finish by our football team, and hopefully we're not through yet. Exams are going on right now, so our schedule this week, our players will be in exams and studying Monday and Tuesday. They'll come over Wednesday for workouts. Wednesday is a study day. Then they'll go back Thursday and Friday for exams, and we will get our first practice Friday evening with the futures. And the futures will get a practice in. The vets will only work out. Then we'll have our first overall team practice Saturday morning. And then every day after practice, though, we'll be keeping the futures out for probably another 12 periods, developing those guys, working with the young guys. And that's always a huge plus for the bowl season and the bowl preparation. It gets that extra practice time with those guys, and that just aids in their development. It's almost like another spring ball. But unfortunately, this year's bowl game, we only have 2 weeks to get ready. So that really cuts out about half of the available practice time, 15 practices that you normally would get if the bowl was a little further back. So we want to make the most out of every day to get some of those young offensive linemen, young quarterbacks, young receivers. They're not playing a lot, some more repetitions to help them as they go into the off-season program. Excited about the bowl game, to say the least. Anytime, we think of the New Orleans Bowl, we have so many fond memories of playing in that game. Got a call from Terrence Broadway today. He let us know he's coming to the game and can't wait to see him. And so many former players have called and texted and said they're coming to town. I don't know if I'm going to have enough sideline credentials for all the former players, because it's great when you got that many guys that want to come back and be a part of that. And they had so many fond memories of the bowl game there. Billy Ferrani and the New Orleans Bowl crew do such a great job taking care of our teams, and it is a great week in New Orleans. Just like you heard earlier, ticket sales are they're blowing and going right now. That's a great sign, especially when you only have 2 weeks to get ready for the bowl game. But exciting time for our team, especially since we feel like we are really peaking and playing our best ball without a doubt of the year. So hopefully we can continue that and finish strong with our exams and finish strong with practice and a great game there in New Orleans. So with that, open up any questions.
When did you feel your team starting to climb upward?
I really felt after the way we played against Georgia Southern, that was really the game that I've been wanting to see, especially offensively. We had everybody involved that night. I think we played 4 guys behind the center, just like I think the night we may have played 5. But we just put all our playmakers on the field, and defensively we'd been really playing solid. Offensively had been a little up and down. We'd really played lights out early offensively against South Alabama, and then sort of struggled here and there at times, lost a couple of close ones. If we get both of those overtime games, we're sitting here at the same record we did in 2011, 12, 13, and 14. So, really close to simulating those seasons, obviously. But that was the game. I really felt like we put it all together. Then we were very competitive against Georgia in certain points of that game. And then obviously a great week the next week against Arkansas State and then against Monroe. So, and I will say this, Texas State, I thought our guys found a way to win that game too. And so that's might have been the turning point where we really started getting a little confidence. And looking back now, Idaho, probably a little better football team than what we may have thought of at that time. Got to give Paul Petrino a lot of credit. They've had a great season and got a good football team. So, but that was probably it. Probably a little more than what you asked for.
Do you feel like your defense has kind of been fueling this run down the finish?
I think they've sort of fueled the season for the most part. They kept us in most of the games. They've played very sound. We have not been a defense that gives up a lot of big plays, and we've seen steady improvement. We've seen lots of players develop, and so I think that they have been steady all year. I think the offense, though, has been the catalyst for the last 4 games. That's been the difference. Our offense has sort of showed up, and our playmakers have made plays. We've opened it up and allowed that. So I think that's been the biggest difference, is offensively have made a big difference.
With 6 Sun Belt teams in bowls, how important is conference-wide is this bowl season for all 6 to really have a good show?
It's always strong when you can win out of conference games, and obviously everybody's playing out of conference games. That just adds to the credibility of the conference. And having 6 bowl-eligible teams is awfully strong. And we got some great matchups with some other opponents from other leagues, and so it'll be an exciting time. And hopefully our league, which I don't expect anything less than our conference to have a strong showing, because we've got some really good football teams in this league. It was a very deep year. I think there are a lot of good teams in this conference this year, and a couple of teams that really stepped up, like Idaho and some other teams that really had outstanding years.
Stevie, for him to do what he did Saturday, particularly when midway through the season there are people saying, should this guy be the kicker? For him to kick in those conditions perfect, you have to be unbelievable.
Very, very proud of him, and proud of the way he stayed the course and continued to improve. And right now, I think he's one of the better kickers in the conference. I think he has finished really strong the second half of the season. He's even had to change holders. That didn't even affect him one bit. And so just very proud of him. And I'd say I've been proud of Stephen Coots. He jumped in at the holder role and really did a great job of that, and has taken a lot of pride in that and shown that he's much more than a punter. So I've been ribbing him on that a little bit. He's doing a great job.
Taking a look at early kind of Southern Miss, just
You know, I have not seen much of them hardly at all, except I do know that Nick Mullins is one of the best quarterbacks out there. And when they have him, they have been really hot. And obviously he's back, and you saw what he can do this past week against La Tech, or 2 weeks ago. This guy is a dynamic passer, and he fits what they do offensively, and he's been a weapon for the last 2 years for those guys. That's a program that's got a lot of tradition. And like I said, I know a lot about that program, being from the state of Mississippi. I know a lot about their success, their tradition, their great players they've had come through their program. And they have been one of the winning. They've probably been, over the test of time, the top Division I program in win-wise in the state over the long haul. So they have been consistent. And followed them closely when Coach Bauer was there as the head coach, and Coach Rodriguez was on that staff there, I think, for 9 years when they had that bowl run, Mitch Rodriguez. And so we know about their program, respect their program a lot.
I know that you probably, as you said, would want more practices, but does this help you maybe formulate your game plan, having the kids in finals for these 4 days where you can roll it out kind of all at once?
Well, the only thing is our coaches are out recruiting. So everybody else got through last week. If you think about it, most of the conferences all got through last week. The Sun Belt went a week later. And so school was fixing to be out. So if you don't get to these high schools now, you don't even see the kids before they go home for Christmas. And so this week until Thursday, all our coaches are out. They'll be in the office at 6 a.m. on Friday morning, and that's when we'll start the game plan. The graduate assistants are getting everything broken down, and analysts are getting everything put out right now for our coaches ready to go 8 o'clock on Friday morning. But we've got to get out on the road recruiting and catching up and making sure we're good to go there. And then we'll start the main preparation on Friday.
Hey, Coach, Anthony Jennings, obviously it's been kind of an up and down year for him. What's impressed you the most?
The way he's kept working, and the way he's kept a good attitude, and the way he's progressed. And I think it's very evident that you can see the progression that he's made with our wideouts, which comes with the timing, the chemistry. And I think we've seen in the last 4 to 5 weeks what it could have looked like if he'd had a spring, if he'd had a summer with our guys, because they are really on the same page right now. Like I tell you, as well as I've seen. And they just, to me, those guys kept working, could have got discouraged, but they didn't. They knew that we were close all year, and having that great attitude and that determination has really paid off in a big way. Like I said, as we won our last 4 out of 6 and our last 3 conference games in a row, and by far playing our best overall ball of the season.
Do you feel like kind of seeing the reaction yesterday, given that the team missed out last year, that they're not necessarily, I wouldn't say taking it for granted, but maybe appreciating everything more this time around?
You know what? We were talking about this as a staff. I think this would be the most excited I've been of going to any of these bowls, except for maybe year one. You know, year one is the first time we've ever been to a bowl. We're excited. We're heading to New Orleans this year, overcoming what we've had to overcome, and just the way we've gotten hot lately, and turned the season around and stayed the course. And now to see these kids get a little bit of the fruit from their labor, and to see the feeling on their face of knowing they're going to get to go to a bowl game, especially some of the players that's only been in our program 1 year, maybe 2, that were not a part of the previous 4 bowls. That has been a great feeling, because about half of the team, maybe a little bit less than half the team, have never been to a bowl. So you probably only got about 40% of the kids on the team that were a part of any of the first 4 bowl games. And so knowing they're going to get to go, Otha Peters is going to get to go with his first bowl game. That's exciting. So I'm excited for him, because he has worked awfully hard along with these other guys, to say the least.
How much has he been like the catalyst for that defense?
He's been the catalyst. He's that attitude that you got to have defensively. He's tough. He keeps an edge about him. He keeps an edge on the team at practice. He's demanding of his teammates. He's what you think of in a inside middle linebacker. And he's physical, he's tough, and he's got a little edge. And I think he's willed our defense to improving and keeping and helping our team win games. And it was important to him. And I think his play in the second half of the season was better than his play in the first half of the season. And I think he's turned out to me personally be the best linebacker in the Sun Belt Conference.
How much has what Lightfoot's done been overshadowed a little bit?
Tremaine Lightfoot is the most underrated player on our defensive side of the ball. I don't know why he doesn't get near the attention, because Lightfoot's got a nice ring to it. You know, you would think Lightfoot, man, that would give him a little more play. But, you know, he has had a phenomenal year. I want to think he might even lead us in tackles. He does. And so he has been the most underrated player. And to me, he's also one of the tops, if not the top linebacker in this conference, too. I think we've got two of the best in this conference. And he's been really good.
With a guy like Otha that is as vocal as he is, how important has his way of leadership really kind of steered the team where it needed to be? Because given everything that's happened, if you don't have that type of leader, you might not have the result.
Well, like I said before, he just brings toughness. And that's what you got to have sometimes. And he wants his team to be tough. He wants his team to be physical. And like I said, he brings that to practice every day. He'll light you up now. And he don't have any favorites in practice. He's gonna hit you. And I think that's great for some of these young linebackers to see the way he prepares and the way he practices. And if they're paying attention, they've learned an awful lot this year.
For you personally, what was the lowest point this season for you?
Oh, you know, there's probably a couple, but you know, the overtime losses were hard because we felt like we had an opportunity to win both of those games, and obviously, the video was a hard time of the year for me personally because it's just some things were said that you didn't mean, and we've apologized for those things and the things that happened. Those were hard times, but so many fans have reached out and one in particular reached out yesterday and said, tough times don't last, tough people do, and that meant a lot to me. And the same thing about teams. Our team has been tough, the way they've overcome adversity, the way they've overcome things and continued to work. And I think that's why our fans right now are really just been so supportive of this team, because they've seen that they've said they're sorry. They've seen us continue to work. They've seen the improvement, and they've seen the way they've handled themselves since then. And I think that they sincerely, accepted their apology and our apologies. And I think that they're really excited for this team to get back to New Orleans and get back to the bowls. And what great exposure for our program than to be on the mothership, ESPN1, for 3 straight hours on prime time. I don't know what the value of that is to our university, but I would say it's probably pretty good. And so that's exciting that we can bring that to our university, bring that to our city. That's one thing that we're excited about also.
The 1,000-yard mark again. How important is it for you and the staff to kind of give him a proper send-off?
Yeah, that was probably one of the most rewarding things, if anything, getting to a bowl game so you can send Elijah McGuire out in the Superdome, a place that he's probably going to play again one day, either home or away. So I'm excited for him as well as the rest of these seniors. They've worked hard. They've earned it. When a lot of teams in this country, when things start spiraling a little bit, it's real easy just to throw up your hands and say, hey, wait the next year. This team didn't do that. They said, no, we're going to do it this year. And they rebounded. They responded. They pulled together when some teams would pull apart. And that's what's made our team so close right now. And couldn't be more proud of this group. Excited for them and our fans.
Okay, everybody good?
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.